excellent artists. Today we are going to be using line and color mixing to make a paper for a project that we will use later on. We're going to mix yellow and blue to make a new color. Do you know what it is? All right, we're going to find out. So what you need are your markers and a piece of paper. All right, let's get started. All right, before we begin, I'm going to do a little experiment with you. So I'm going to just show you, this is not something you're going to make in class, but I thought it would be kind of fun for you to see this. So I'm going to make a yellow spot with a marker here. And, oops, a blue spot over here. Now, which color is darker, the yellow or the blue? Definitely the blue. This is very light and this is very dark. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two colors and I'm going to mix them. Yellow and blue are both primary colors. Primary colors means I can't make them, I just have to have them. But if you have two primary colors and you mix them together, it will make a new color. So I'm going to take some water over here and I am going to get my yellow wet. I'm going to spread that all over here. So now it's wet, and I'm going to take a little bit of my blue and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to bring it right over the top of this yellow so you can see what happens. So you'll notice when I go over the yellow that we ended up with a new color. It is green. Green is a secondary color and you can make that with your markers. You can also do it with crayon. Let me show you what I mean. So if I take my yellow crayon and make a yellow spot on my paper, and I take a blue crayon, I'm going to overlap these two just so you can see, and when I overlap those two, you'll see where those two colors, maybe I'll put a more yellow on top, where those two colors mixed, we have a green spot in the middle. So boys and girls, we're going to use this idea to make our paper for our next project. Now, it won't look like anything today, but it will be very interesting to look at, and we will be able to use it for our upcoming project that we are going to do. So if you do have markers today, use the markers. You will just need the three colors, yellow, green, and blue. And your paper, when it's all dry, will look something like this. Now, if you don't have markers, the other choice is to take your crayons, the same colors, the yellow, the green, and the blue, and you can do the same thing, I did it right here with those three colors, with my crayons, overlapping them. I just didn't use water. With marker, you will need a little bit of water and then something to spread it around. I'm using a paintbrush, but a Q-tip would work as well. So if I'm doing the marker, I'm going to always start with the lightest color, which is my yellow. And I will draw lines on my paper. And I'm going to think of as many different kinds of lines as I can come up with. And we've learned all about horizontal, zigzag, curvy. Let's do vertical. Think about all the different types of lines that we've talked about. You can do them in a different order than I'm doing them. I'm doing spiral right now. But try to get as many as you can think of to fill this paper. Try not to have them touching the other ones. Let's do some diagonal. Maybe some broken line. Let's diagonal the other way. I'm going to do castle line. You could fit probably one more dotted line right in here too. Maybe I'll do a dotted up here. Seems like there's more room. Make sure you hear that click if you're using a marker when you're done. The next color I'm going to use is my green because it's the next lightest color. So I can do them in the same order or a different order. In between, wherever I can fit some more lines, they can be the same or they can be different. when I'm done with this, I will show you what it looks like. Okay, you'll even notice that sometimes I've even put some in between. I'm very careful though. I'm trying not to run into those other yellow lines. If I bump into them just a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. But I'm really trying to fit as many as I can. All right, so now I'm going to do the same kind of thing with my blue. I'm going to squeeze in some blue lines in here wherever I can. Remember, we're doing lines and not shapes. Dots are okay. Wherever you can fit in your blue lines now would be, you're starting to probably run out of space, and that's okay. But if you're creative, you'll be able to find ways to fit in more lines with your markers. Just when you thought I'd be out of room, I'm finding all kinds of ways to put more lines in my picture. So now that I'm done with my blue, green, and yellow lines, if I'm using the marker, I will need something to, a little bit of water and something to spread around the water on my paper. Now, you also probably should have something underneath your paper to protect your work surface so that it doesn't end up messy. I'm going to use a paper, an old paper here. And what you're going to do with this right now, you're going to, by the way, if you don't have a paintbrush, a Q-tip works wonderfully, or a cotton swab, something just to spread the water over the paper. So I'm using a paintbrush, and if you're using a paintbrush, make sure you're keeping your fingers away from the bristles. You want to keep it out of the danger zone. Danger zone. Because if you put your fingers down here in the danger zone, your fingers are in danger of getting wet. But if you put it up here in the handle, your fingers should stay safe and dry. So remember to be gentle when you're using your paintbrush. Gently slide from side to side. Now your paintbrush will tell you when it's getting dry and when it's running out of water if you're quiet and you listen to it. So let's listen to my paintbrush. Oh, did you hear it? It was making kind of that sandpapery sound, and it stopped working. And it doesn't matter if you push harder, that's going to ruin the paintbrush. But if you're gentle and if you just add a little bit more water, it stops making that very loud noise. Also, when you're painting, it's okay that the colors are spreading and the paint is moving around, or the ink from the marker is moving around on your picture. Try not to leave big puddles, going from side to side. I'm not just going all over, just from side to side. And as this dries, boys and girls, you will notice that the colors still continue to move around a little bit, and that's okay. If you ever have too much paint on your, or too much water on your brush, wipe it. I'll show you that again. Wipe it like that. Don't tap it. First of all, that's loud. And you might actually tip over your water cup. So you just want to be very gentle if you have too much on your brush. All right, you're going to go all the way down to the bottom, get the whole paper wet. And sometimes it does curl. Try to keep your fingers out of the water. Go back and check if you've got any big puddles. Try to spread those by going side to side. Don't worry about it curling up. We'll take care of that. All right, now, if this is wet, you need to let it dry, and your teacher and I will help you figure out how to do that, or if you're at home, ask an adult at home to help you find a nice place for this to dry. You need to save this paper for next time so that we can use this in our next picture. We will be starting to make an evergreen tree picture, as you can see here. We also have to make this paper for the trees to go on. So I believe next week that's what we are going to do. Save this paper, make sure your name's on it so that next time you can use that. Now, if you're using crayon, do the same thing, just without water. All you need is to do the same thing, make your lines. When you're done, you want to go back and color between lines. I'll just do a little part of mine here so you can see what that's going to look like. Skip an area before you color the next. So you're leaving some white in between. And then you're going to do your blue lines, and you can do the same thing or something different. Go right on top of the yellow and then in the white space, and then you can color them in. Now hopefully when you start doing this, you will notice those new colors being formed. And if you do your whole paper this way, after you have the blue and the yellow, if you have any white spaces left over, you can take your green and color over that as well. You don't want to cover up all of the yellow or all of the blue, but it's okay to let some of the places in your picture blend together so that you end up with a very nice looking picture, just like nice looking paper, just like this one. You can save this, and next we will be using it in the same type of picture with the evergreen tree coming up. So if you're at home, you do not have to post any of this to Artsonia today, but I would like to see your progress on how you're doing on Seesaw. So I look forward to seeing what you make today, and I hope you're having a creative day. See you next time. Bye.